Hi everyone, this is a behind the scenes look at what's going on. Give me just a second. This is just behind the scenes. Fix everything. We got less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds before we go fully live. When I'm interviewing people, it's so savvy. I'm okay with that. But when I'm interviewing by myself, I get a little nervous. 1 minute. Okay, let's calm down. 30 seconds. 10. Five. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Kimberly Cloud Show. I'm your host, Kimberly Cloud. I am doing this by myself, this project based on KCAA working with me, and I am affiliated with NBC. So let's go ahead and get started. To all my folks out there that listens to KCAA, please subscribe. KCAA is a wonderful place, and if you want to do your own radio or podcasting, please contact the guy that's in charge. He is a wonderful individual that gave me a fighting chance at telling my story. So let's get started. Basically, I always talk about my past leading up into my present and why I decided to run for state senator. And so what we're going to talk about right now is uh, basically my past. So it all started when I was what 5 years old. Um, I moved to I was born in Washington D.C. I was born in Washington D.C. and we moved at 5 years old down to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is booming right now. They have wonderful things going on. Charlotte has came a long way. Charlotte did not used to be a lot of people. When I mean that Charlotte did not used to be a lot of people. So they didn't even have a Greyhound bus station. It was just a street that they dropped you off on. So pretty much this gold mine, because they made it into such landmarks that is of abundance. So Charlotte decided to grow and I watched it. Um, I didn't have a good life per se. I was in the ghetto on a slave plantation, actually. And it was an older slave plantation in Gurton Court where a lot of black people live and have died. And I went to Billingsville Elementary. I went from William Beans Elementary in Maryland to Billingsville Elementary, and I stayed for 3 years. I went to fourth, fifth, and sixth. That's how I went, and I graduated from sixth grade. And they made it into a Montessori school where I went to Southeast Middle School. Now, take it into account, I had a wonderful teacher. I forgot his name, but he was a This is how I got out of living in the ghetto. He was an orchestra teacher, and he taught us how to play instruments. And I learned how to play the violin, but that wasn't enough for me. But I only learned like drumline through sound. And still today, I don't know how to read music, but through sound, I can make a product happen. So to get to the point, I learned how to play the cello through sound, and all because of him. But once I got to Southeast Middle School, South Charlotte Middle School, they said that I would have to, it's a must that I would have to learn how to play music. So I was like so devastated, learn how to read music, that is. So I was so devastated. I was like, wow. So I just quit, and my whole life started to, like degress, because we went to Salisbury, North Carolina, which is like 30 minutes away from Charlotte. And I got into trouble a lot there, where to get in trouble, my mother said we're moving back to Charlotte, because somehow I think she knew that she was sick. She was sick with cancer. And so we went from Charlotte to Concord, Kannapolis, where I wasn't even homeschooled during that time. But then when we moved to Salisbury, Rowan County, I was being homeschooled for the 6th, 7th grade, and I taught myself how to do multiplication, basic multiplication, division. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally today. No, I'm just playing. And so from there, we moved back to Charlotte, where my mother started to decline. So she went to the hospital, and they told her she had colon cancer. She was in stage 4. So when she had the colon cancer, they thought that by cutting a percentage of her colon out, that would help with her having it. But instead, it spread everywhere in her body, and she became toxic. So I'll leave it at that. She ended up ultimately passing. No conspiracy theories. She ended up ultimately passing, and I walked in 5 minutes after she passed away. 5 minutes. She had feces coming out of her mouth. From what the doctor said she passed away 5 minutes ago. But what if he came into the room 5 minutes and declared her dead 5 minutes ago? So I don't know exactly when she died. But something didn't feel right in my heart that whole night. I was up till 2 o'clock. So I give it to the Charlotte Mecklenburg police, because they always was there to help protect my mother externally, but they couldn't protect her internally. So from there, I moved back up to Maryland, where I'm from, Washington, D.C., and I stayed with my aunt. And I'm not going to get into the negatives, but the positives was I graduated, which my certificate is right there, my diploma actually. And I graduated from Oxon Hill High School. And I graduated in a class of almost 3,000 people. And that had to be hard. It was hard. It had to be hard. It was hard, because you got death all around you. People is getting killed for Jordans. People are doing reckless things with their life. I had a Honda Accord, an 89 Honda Accord that I drove around. And pretty much, I stayed in my own lane. I worked at Friendly's in, was it Largo? No, it was somewhere in Maryland, which was 25, 30 minutes away. It was Friendly's restaurant, which is a part of Wendy's. A lot of people know about Friendly's. Friendly's is a great restaurant to go to with your family. If you're looking for ice cream, they got ice cream. So from working in Friendlies, I became on a delayed entry program. Now, the delayed entry program is when you get into the military, because I was in a military class, taking a military class in high school. And from the military class I took in high school, I went to from the military class, I went to Friendlies, kept working at Friendlies, and became on a delayed entry program to get into MEPS, which got me into the Army. So from there, I sat up there and got into the Army. It was not an easy task. The things we did was crazy, crazy. We had a backpack in front of us that was 35 pounds. The backpack behind us was 45 pounds. Two bags, like holding two bags, and that's all we could carry. So the drill sergeants is just yelling, "Get to the building!" And we're running and not thinking about it. When you're getting yelled at and you can't do nothing about it, and you have to obey all rules, which I did to the excellent point of no going back. You don't think about being tired or hurting. You just do it. And they're yelling, "Go to the building!" It's 2-3 miles away, and you like, "Can I take a break?" It was a wonderful experience, and so from there, I sat up there and we did a duck crawl. We did the now it was a whole smorgasbord full of food, mind you. For all those that want to go into the military, it was a whole smorgasbord. I mean, they had like culinary arts of abundance. But here's the kicker: you get caught eating a cake in the line, and you're a little heavy set, and it's hard for you to lose weight. They're gonna be like, "What are you doing eating that food? You're gonna be fat." It's not funny. It was terrible to have to hear guys and women that wanted just a slice of cake to actually go there. So you may call it relaxing, Jackson, but it was nothing. At first you can say it was relaxing, and I told myself I would never be able to do a push-up in my BDU coat because I used to practice, and I used to be a smoker of cigarettes. And so after they were through, I was able to do all types of push-ups, front lean and rest, half right face on the ground, doing push-ups all the time. And I had a blast. I cried when I left because they were like my family. And I almost got recycled because I sat up there and I got sick. I got really sick. And come to find out, I had strep throat. I had a really bad case of strep throat where they had to give me a narcotic in basic training. And I said, I don't want to stay here. They kept me for 3 days in the infirmary or whatever you call it, the hospital of Fort Jackson. And I said, I don't want to stay here. I want to finish my 9 weeks. And I was already at 6 weeks. So, yeah, my fever was so sky high. And so anyway, I ended up staying with the group that I came with. And from there on out, I sat up there and graduated. And by myself, by the way, I graduated by myself. And from there, it's a pattern too. From there, what else happened? When I graduated, I got orders. I was so happy about these orders. When they said, "Korea, you are being stationed to Camp Castle, Korea," I was so happy, y'all. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to Korea. I've never been nowhere across the globe." And it happened. Now, like Jamie Foxx says, be prepared if you go to Korea and you don't know. I don't know if it's still like this or not, but be prepared to have a set of nostrils fall off of your face. because that's what almost happened to me. I had to catch it and glue it back on because the smell there was so crazy. I said, this can't be the smell. And you get used to it. And I was like, okay, it's beautiful there. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I could have tried. Man, had I known, all I did really, I didn't apply myself right when I was in Korea, but I had a good chain of command that was all African American and part white and African American, but 70% African American and like 20% white. And I was more engaged with the African American because they were the ones like from morning to evening cooking with me from 4 a.m. getting your cook whites checked out, getting your shoes checked, make sure they're shiny and everything. Now the generals and the sergeant majors that I saw, they weren't even on Camp Castle, they were on Camp Casey. That's what I mean. So I had you would say, an all black kitchen of people. Um, and, I would give my life for them. It wasn't perfect, but I would give my life for them, even though white people. So either way it goes, I had a great chain of command. Bad things did happen, but I managed to get to Fort Campbell, and I was pregnant during the time. So, I ended up having my child prematurely. He was 2 pounds and 8 ounces. And that's like 3/4 the size of your phone. The actual what you call it, a diaper. It's been a minute since I've seen a diaper. But he was premature. Like the diaper was like that size. And so, other than that, I got married. It didn't work out. And moving on, I went to my first school, Millermont Technical College. I was going for medical assisting. I didn't get no credits for that. And it doesn't transfer either. It's a technical college. But I learned so much. It was so overwhelming. And today I was in a group. I was in a group with my people in the VA, and they were showing me some stuff that I was already I wasn't partially familiar with the male face and the word liar, or the elephant with all those legs. It was no right answer. He was correct. And but the woman with the face, the old woman, and the woman turned around, I was familiar with the illusions. And the two male faces in the lamp, I actually learned that at Miller Mott. And that's what got me talking about it. So fast forward, I went there for a little bit, got a taste, went to Hawaii Pacific University. I was at Wahiwa, and I traveled everywhere in Hawaii. Traffic was slow and just reckless. And I sat up there and went to Hawaii Pacific University in a Hickam base. And it was I had wonderful teachers. I'm trying to figure out, is there anything I can do with all these credits that I done managed to obtain through Hawaii Pacific, HPU, Millermont, and the University of Phoenix? So from Hawaii Pacific, that's where we ended up getting a divorce. And moving on, I ended up homeless. I want this to be educational. I got 10 minutes to talk about this. I ended up homeless. I ended up going to BCCC, homeless. If it was snowing, I went there. If it was raining, I went there. If it was sunny, I went there. I did not drive. I caught a bus. This was during the rioting time when Bernie Sanders came and walked the same streets I had to walk, uh, interning people from methadone clinics. So after I graduated BCCC, I love you guys at BCCC, by the way. Y'all are sending me 3 of my diplomas, well, my degree and my 2 diplomas that I earned. I appreciate your expedited delivery. Thank you. They're going to sit right back there. And then I'm getting my honorable discharge paperwork sent to me. It's going to be right back there. And after I graduated, I went straight to Coppin. Hold up. Wait. Right there, Coppin State University. A year later, got my bachelor's, and then I stopped. I was going to go to University of Phoenix for psychology initially, but I give it to you psychologists, you doctors. It's a lot of paperwork, and it's very vigorous and extensive. I can't do it. I love to write, don't get me wrong, but there's a thin line between writing and breaking and writing. I can't do it. So I decided to do business administration, and I have 4 classes left. And I will be walking the stage pretty soon in the state of good old Texas. What did you say about Texas? So anyway, after now, they kind of rewind a little bit. I sat up there and where am I going to rewind to? After my degree and I kept going to school, I ended up breaking it off with my second husband. Don't want to mention why, but we broke it off. I ended up moving to Philly, which is 2-3 hours away from the NEPA, northeast PA, northeast Pennsylvania area. And it was right 30 minutes away from Biden's territory, Scranton, PA, where I was staying. And so that was predominantly white and immigrants that are rich, and they were wonderful people. They didn't even know who I was, and they were great people. They owned gasoline stations, and they had big houses there. And that house that we were staying in had a value of $4.5 million. 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, garage in a rich area. And I have to say, my neighbor was Marty Kaiser. Somebody said, "Who that? Marty Kaiser?" Yeah, Marty Kaiser is the one they made 1995 Enemy of States about. The same 2 people that played as alter people, the black and the white guy, Will Smith working with the white guy, they sat up there and they made it about one white man. It's about one white man that actually went through all of that. That was a true story. NSA, FBI, all of that great stuff. He told me it was a true story. He only made $5 from it. He didn't want to make no money. He actually sells material like listening devices. He helped during the Soviet Union and during different eras while he was still younger, because he's like in his 80s now or late 70s. He sold listening devices to the police, the FBI, and the CIA and NSA too. He is a machine. He said it's called Odyssey of an Eavesdropper. Look him up, Marty Kaiser. So pretty much, fast forwarding it, from Philly, I ended up moving to Santa Maria, California. That's where I decided to run for U.S. Senate. I don't know it's fate. It's fate. Whether somebody helped me or not, it's fate. Because I didn't even care about politics. I didn't care about nothing. All I cared about was my Kimberly Cloud show, which I still do care about today. But something in my heart told me to run, whether win or lose, for state senate. And that's exactly what I did, run for state senate. So when I ran, I got 12 votes. I went to each place myself, and I talked to them about what I plan on changing. Then something in me clicked, which I was going way over my head, but I didn't care. I said, well, let me run for president of the United States of America, but I never registered. I said, let me run for president of the United States of America, but see how I can grow from that. But it never happened the way I wanted it to happen. And I took a time out. I don't want to talk about Republicans or Democrats, but I took time out at Club Fed, like almost all of the Republicans do. And I don't think it's funny. I just laugh out of hysterical embarrassment. But that's what happened to me. And I believe in my heart it I don't want to talk about how it happened, but you can watch my show and you'll figure out what I claim and what I know it to be. So, moving on. I got out January of this year, from April of last year to January of this year, and I sat up there and I just pushed even further doing the Kimberly Cloud show. I'm still 200 people almost behind on doing my show, from 2022 to 2023. And I'm working hard and diligently to, get caught up. And I already am at 200 people. I've interviewed over 1,000 people. I've interviewed the greatest people, such as Will Roberts from Oppenheimer, DC Glenn from Whoop, there it is, and many more people. I supposed to be interviewing Chris. I think her last name is Gilliam from Hello Clarice. Clarice, actually the woman that played Clarice. Clarice is being interviewed tomorrow at 9 a.m. if y'all want to check that out. If all goes well. So, other than that, I decided to run for state senate again. Well, instead of U.S. Senate, state senate. And I feel like I want to lose. Only reason I want to lose and not pursue it is because I need more people watching my show that is in the Seattle area that will know me and understand where I'm coming from, that I'm genuinely open person that want to see the society and the drugs and the crime and the police and the court system change. That's what I want to see. That's it. So, moving on, we got less than 21, no, maybe almost 30 minutes. So we're going to talk about some things that I wrote down, both in writing, of typing, and then on paper, if we can get through that. So I want to be talking about the meat and potatoes. I would like to talk about I want to spend 30 minutes talking about my past, which I did, and the second part about campaigning. So, I'm not going to say that. So today marks the second campaign used towards waking the Seattle people up. Today, I'll dive into things that aren't right with today's norms. For instance, we will talk about what state senators do for a living. We will also discuss how much cops make on a daily, monthly basis. We will also dig into Southeast Seattle being the most diversified place and the low-income place. Why are people being housed there that are not that why are people being housed there that are minorities? Why can't we have a fair chance ourselves? I wrote this a long time ago. These are the things I will talk about today. What is it that a state senator do for a living? Well, they meet in session each year to discuss, create, and change existing laws. They also enact budgets for the state. They also now that's if all of them are in agreement. They also propose legislation in filibusters, which is a prolonged debate. That if they don't agree, it's like a filibuster. Lastly, they have oversight of the federal budget. Now, while some senators follow protocol with everything going on, some senators do not. Many people feel like that in order to have a safer nation, there must not be any more corruption in our nation. There are approximately 49 legislative districts in Washington state alone. A senator serves 2 years. I feel like there should be better equal opportunity employer for all types of people, not just people of one race, creed, or religion. This should be diversified in every aspect, including if they're wearing wigs. It should be no problem if a person is wearing a wig. I think that is so disgusting to me that people look at me funny because I wear wigs. I don't care. If it's okay for people to do crazy things like the way they do in chambers, like it's so many things I've seen. I don't want to go into detail, but I don't think it's fair for me to be stigmatized on the fact I wear wigs. That's number one. Okay, now we can have people that are men, which I am 100% times infinity times this world, universe, multiverse, and omniverse. I'm okay with the LGBT community. No prejudice, no ill will, no nothing. But I come to get a little confused when men are dressed as women wearing cheap wigs and confuse our youngest children and are being brought. Like I said, this is one of the examples I use. They wear cheap wigs, a cheap dress, cheap lipstick, cheap makeup. They go into these classrooms. I mean, if you're going to dress like a woman and be a transgender, dress appropriately, like a real woman would, not like a clown by sending in the clowns. And then you confuse our children. You confuse our children by talking about things such as saying, out if you want to be a woman or a man, raise your hand. That's confusing to it, a child. So we can have women of any race wear wigs. This wigs wearing has been brought towards the gods and the goddesses from the days of Egypt, even beyond that. But documented, there has been people or gods or goddesses that have pyramids that wear wigs. I never saw what the big deal is about wearing wigs if it's done appropriately and not to cause a frenzy. What if that person had cancer? So the next sector, how much does a cop or a first responder make, and how come they get paid so little to do so much? The first responders are here to help us, and yet we regrettably treat them like crap. We tell them to help us get away from abusers, mentally challenged, severely mentally challenged, drug addicts, and just plain abusers who does harm to the community. For instance, before I go any further, they got in Berrien camps. They got homeless camps right next to the police. They see what police come in civilians, how they go out in their police gear, how they come back, how they dress back in their civilians. That's not safe, especially when you're severely mentally unstable and you're using drugs. And that leads me to talking about drug setting in my next area of mention after I finish with this. So for them to put their lives on the line, we must have them make way for more, like have more money than they make now. They see death. They see dead bodies on a regular. They see severe injuries. They smell blood. They smell poisons. They witness gunfire or they are in this gunplay. It's just not safe for them. Now, these are the amounts. A recruit makes $5,818. You would say a month. You would say that's not that's enough. It's not. Now, a step one police officer, once he come out of being a recruit, makes $6,970. And a step two makes 9,126. That's after 2 years. Now, I still say these are people that are seeing the things that we don't want to see. Clean it up. We don't want to see death. We don't want to see a crash with somebody hanging out with their brains flowing out the side. We don't want to see a homeless man defecate on the side of the road and by smoking methamphetamine or whatever they're doing. We don't want to see that. They have to deal with that. So nearly 10,000 work your life. That's 100,000 a year after the second year, or I think it's the third year of step two. So 10,000 is worth your life? No, because once you die, your family receives a pension of less 70% of that. So that's like 7,000 a month or less that your family receives. I think there should be more incentives. I think that we have more mental health cooperation, independent, yes, I said it, not a police bound, but an independent, non-contractual psychiatrist, psychologist, and therapist of abundance, not just one, working for the police station that gives fair and reasonable reasonable diagnosis of whether this cop or show if this cop is rehabilitatable, then it goes down to the psychologist, getting them on medication that won't affect their job and their rate of firing a weapon or any of that. Because we had too many instances where so many people are going to jail. Cops are being put on a stand for killing people. And it's because, one, they overwork them to death. There's 954 officers to 762,500 people here in Seattle. That makes no sense. They're burnt out. They may make an unprofitable move in their line of duty because they work in 17, 18 hours. Going home, they lack, hate to say it, they lack sex, they lack sleep, they lack family, they lack television, they lack productivity. They can't function. And they're back at it again for 4 or 5 days. That's not right. That's a part of the pyramid. You have your family, you have your survival skills, and I don't get why we're allowing that to happen to our police officers. So it's nearly 10,000 worth your life or your family to be devastated at you losing your life and they getting a small portion of the check in order to live. It's not right all of the way. These laws are invented to hurt people, and while the state senate is burning the midnight oil, nothing is being done for these officers. We forget about them. They have to see drug addicts smoking meth, fentanyl, and crack cocaine, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that as well. People keep saying, well, it's legal now to smoke methamphetamine. No, it is not legal. It is not legal to smoke methamphetamine in Seattle. They just lax the law a little bit. Southeast Seattle has a high poverty level. West Seattle has 40 ethnic groups and 60 different languages. Imagine that. Nobody can speak all those languages. 40 different ethnic groups and 60 different languages. You just pile them up in a sector where it's all these different language people and all this high rate crime and people getting robbed, people getting set up, people are using drugs. Talk about the movie Babel. It is the poorest neighborhood and it's ranked the highest poverty rank. It has the greatest percentage of low income residents, such as Social Security. There should be better opportunities for the community. There should be better ways that we cannot put them together and give them other communities that will help with giving 6 months of paying off your bills or upgraded a credit score of 100. Like, there should be better. What I mean by that is there should be programs that help pay off your credit, not those creditors that help pay off your debt. No, this is an inbound program that takes 6 months to pay off some of your credit or most of your credit, and it helps with low income residents. That way, your score could go up by 100, your FICO or your credit score could go up by 100% in the 6 months to a year after paying those off, and you continue down the road. After so long, if we don't start giving our minorities a chance, they may end up selling drugs or killing like they're doing now. The minorities feel that this is the only way to make it, so you do your math. So yeah, you have to do your math with that. And I have to hurry up because I wanted to talk about some things also. Now, MIT found that there are 762,500 people living in Seattle versus 952 cops. I made that part up. I didn't make it up, but this is fact. Now, the MIT said the high cost of living, it takes a person to make $21.48, the minimum wage you have to be making in order to feel comfortable here. Now, the minimum wage, I didn't fact check this, but I read it off of a website, is $18.69 in Seattle, some parts of Seattle. You have to pay $4,686 on food, $5,316 on transportation, and $18,388 on housing. That's just standard. That's standard. Now, the cons is we get earthquakes here. We get earthquakes every 500 years or less, or when it wants to come in the Pacific Northwest. And it flourishes. The courthouse, the people that are here flourishes in white Democrats. I'm not mad about that because I like it here. And I feel like some Democrats were helping me while some were hurting me. And they got some Republicans that hurt me too. So I look at the glass half full. But there's no pro or con other than the fact that some people feel like Democrats aren't good people, and I've seen good Democrats do good things. Like today, they did a good thing for me today. I'll put it to you like that. The drug problem. The drug problem is meth, crack, and fentanyl, and many more. Now, I looked up how many people are on drugs in Seattle. How many people are on drugs? 12 years old. 12 years old or older. 528,000. Now, didn't I just give you another number? There are over 762,500. That is 63% of the people on an illicit drug zombied out. There's only 59 rehab centers here in Seattle. Is something wrong with that number? Get them in, get them out, get them not ahead. So before I finish, Operation Phase 1, I called it Operation Zombie Seattle. No, Operation Zombie Seattle, Washington. Downtown, exactly. Clean up everyone who is on some sort of substance. You did not crack down on these laws like you should have been cracking down by making it up to the person that arrested you, or up to give you it would never be a felony. It will be a gross misdemeanor, which is housed by 364 up to 364 days in prison and a $5,000 fine. That's nothing. That's up to them whether they want to give you the full year, which they won't in Seattle because King County jails are full. So like I was saying, Operation Phase 1, Zombie Seattle. Clean up everyone who is on some sort of substance. I don't care. If they want to be homeless out on the street, fine, let them be. But they're not going to be homeless out on the street where judges, where police officers, where many of our great men and women walk to their daggone cars, walk to their daggone courthouses, and have to deal with that crap. And get possibly robbed or shot at. No, you're going to be clean out there. And then when you want to seek help, clean, we'll take you in. Part 2 of Operation Zombie Free. We need more rehabs. We need more rehabilitation centers. Operation Zombie 3. More funding to clean up the streets. More funding to clean up the streets. And I talked about, I'll say this last part because I got less than 10 minutes. The phases. They won't be homeless because if we had a 3-tier phase system, phase 1, if they are capable of paying their rent, if they are capable, they would take a test, a psychology test, a new psychology test, and mental tests geared towards saying how much rent will be paid if Bobby paid this. If you paid this, would you pay this? Would you pay that? So then you will test out, and then they will extensively ask you a bunch of series of questions for not only veterans, but regular homeless people. These questions will go like, well, I won't say exactly what will be in them, but they will be able to say, well, I think that you should be able to be housed within 3 to 6 months. 6 months to 10 to 12 months, you have a sector where you're sitting up there and you need extensive, like your bill paying. Like I spoke earlier about paying off your bills for the immigrants and the low income, poverty stricken people. And then work on your mental health. All platforms is going to work on mental health. Then the third tier is if they cannot be rehabilitated, instead of staying next to the police station, watching the police come in and out. I mean, the chief of police, he's done in August. He's like, I'm done. The sheriff's office is not doing the right things. And I'm like, whoa. Anyway, he's moving to outside of King County. Put it to you like that. Tier 3, and then I'm going to recap a little bit. Tier 3, all work on mental health spectrum, but have more housing for them that like shelters, but not like their own housing, their own dorm, whether 2-room dorm or 1-room dorm, house more housing ability to where they are able to live in a housing center where a nurse is on call and a doctor is on call and security guard is on call, and they're taking their medicine like they supposed to. It don't need to be court order or nothing. So that is where I'm going with this as a whole. So, with that being said, I tried to give y'all what I want to see for Seattle. You know, there are good Democrats out here. Hi to the CEO of KCAA Radio. Thank you for everything, for making this possible for me to be able to speak on you guys' platform. And, you know, I just wanted to tell you guys that despite everything, we need to come together to figure out. Some people may have better plans than me. Some people may have better plans than me. So, go to those town hall meetings where I can't right now. Go to those meetings where you can speak the voice at the city council level, and write your congressman, write your state senator, right. You know, so that is about it. Follow me at the Kimberly Cloud Show 39 on LinkedIn. Well, the Kimberly Cloud Show on LinkedIn, the Kimberly Cloud Show 39 on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, KCS Experience 84. And you can even email me if you're looking to do a segment with me and be interviewed at the Kimberly Cloud Show 39. No, it's the Kimberly Cloud Show at yahoo.com. I have so many hashtags. It's for that. So, with that being said, thank you, KCAA Radio. You enjoy your holidays. All of you producers that's listening to me right now, you enjoy your holidays. You guys out there, over 5 million to 7 million people that are listening, you enjoy your holidays, your 4th of July. My birthday is tomorrow. Woo woo. And you take care, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.